One of the most low-key popular hotels in Disney World is right behind me, and we have a stay to tour the resort, checking out the rooms, the pools, the dining, everything there is to see. We're gonna see it all here at Disney's Port Orleans Resort, Riverside. We're gonna start with arrival. So you come in those doors that I just came in into the Port Orleans Riverside lobby. It is themed to be a fairy house. Port Orleans Riverside in general is one of 2 hotels that are themed to New Orleans. There's this one and then the sister resort right next door, Port Orleans French Quarter. And yes, you can walk there. And yes, that is where you get the beignets that are shaped like Mickey Mouse. But this is themed to be like a boat's launch lobby where you would buy your tickets for the ferry that you're taking. And in general, Riverside has a more classic Southern vibe, whereas French Quarter has more of a Mardi Gras, New Orleans vibrant city vibe. This is more of a classic Southern vibe. So you can check in here. You'll talk to any of these lovely cast members in purple who will help you get checked into your room and make sure that your magic bands are linked if you have them. And then it's off to the room. I actually had my room to stay here recently with a Disney media event. So I'm going to throw you to Quincy in the past, who is going to show you around our Alligator Bayou room and a little bit of what that theme looks like. All right, heading into the room. Oh my gosh, it's Miranda having breakfast. And also my breakfast. Breakfast is gone, actually. We already had breakfast. We found breakfast. But this is our room. This is an Alligator Bayou room. Now, these are not currently announced as getting refurbished, but the rooms over at Magnolia Bend are getting refurbished. Already have in many cases. And Alligator Bayou is not included in that as of now. But that doesn't mean that will always be the case, but this is the current Alligator Bayou room, which is why we're doing this video, so that if you're booked in Alligator Bayou, you know what to expect. So, starting when you walk in, you have your standard hotel door with your standard Disney locks. This is your magic band / room key scanner. You got this room occupied little sign you can put on your door, and you have a bar lock as well. Window, since there are those exterior hallways, you do kind of look out onto pathways, which means a lot of times people are walking by your room. You do have privacy curtains, although this kind of hotel, the privacy curtains typically aren't enough for true privacy. Curtains are blackout curtains, gets you some darkness in the room if you want to take a nap, also the privacy you might be looking for, and it's kind of like a cute patchwork design hanging from a rope. How rustic. Now, there is the AC unit is under the window, but you don't control it here. You control it across the room with that thermostat right there. Miranda is modeling the table and chairs, as you can see, as well as the mirror. Thank you, Vanna. Again, rustic vibe kind of everywhere in here. Magnolia Bend has a little bit more of like a fancy vibe, whereas that's sort of the Tiana room, royalty room. And there are even princess themed rooms. Whereas over here, it's the Bayou rustic vibe, the frog room. It's like lots of frog stuff here. This is a note about housekeeping. At this resort, it does come every other day during your stay. There's even a little chart to tell you exactly when. And then this, would you mind grabbing your bag? This is one of the best features of this room, and that is that it comfortably sleeps 5 people. So not only do you have 2 queen beds with 4 pillows each, you also have a 5th sleeper, which is what this is. Now when folded up, it acts like a couch. And this is the easiest sofa bed sleeper version to open and close. Literally just takes it like that. It's a little heavy to close, but bang, 5th sleeper. And it's got this super cute art. You do have a TV. It is one of the Samsung Smart TVs, so you can cast your own content from your phone. And you can see here we've got plugs, standard and USB plugs built into this furniture, as well as some of the other furniture. The bed setup, for one, by the door, we do have our recycling bin and trash can. And then, like I said, 4 pillows. We will do some science on the bed and pillows in a second, don't you worry. We've got these cute blue headboards. I think these look really nice in here. And they have the very good crown / frog foot motif, which I really love. That little motif is so clever.
Check out those lanterns.
The lanterns are like my favorite part of the whole room. They are so fun, rustic, bayou, country vibes. And then in between, we have, similar to the little crate design of the sleeper, a crate side table that does have a single drawer here. And look, the little drawer pull is a key. And this is where you'll find a little note about telephone calls, your take-along guide to the magic, which has information about all of Disney World, including specific seasonal information. This is Hey Disney, which is an Alexa-partnered, he's been listening to us.
I'll get Alexa for that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk to you. You're supposed to be muted.
From cdinsights.com.
Amazon Alexa Fund
I didn't
recently
want to
partnered
Google
with
Alexa.
Samsung on November 11th,
This is just like being at home. This is Hey Disney. It is a voice assistant. It also has alarms, soundscapes, games, everything. You can mute it. In fact, typically it is muted when you check in your room. This is the first time this has ever happened to me that it wasn't. So check that if that is something you're concerned about. And you can ask it questions about your stay at the hotel, about Disney World, and it'll give you answers. This is also where your in-room phone is, more outlets, and your controls for the lights around the bed. Also next to the beds, we do have this piece of art, which is so pretty. It is art of Blue Bayou Restaurant in Disneyland, which is the restaurant in New Orleans Square that is inside the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. And I love this art. I think this is so cool. Like concept art of that. Yeah. Little kind of kitchen corner is what we'll call it. You got this shelf, which does have hidden Mickeys. And then there's that thermostat, your coffee machine with a lot of instant coffee options, ice bucket with some water cups, 2 big shelves if you want to store any snacks or anything, cute little cattail Bayou door on this cabinet. And then if you open it, there is your mini fridge, beverage cooler vibe. And this is one of the bigger ones, which is pretty cool. Actually, this is more space than you usually have to be able to store like snacks and stuff in this room than a lot of Disney hotel rooms. Bathroom is 2 sections. So you can have someone getting ready and someone going to the bathroom, and both people can have privacy. There's no door to the bathroom as a whole, but there is a curtain. So if you have someone getting ready early, they can block off the light with this curtain. It is super cute because it has Frog, Tiana, and Naveen looking out over the bayou. This is the sinks and vanity area. Big mirror. We can see me do this. We're gonna dance. We're gonna dance. We also have tissue, and I have needed to blow my nose, but I haven't because I wanted you guys to see this. This is a little Port Orleans stamp in the tissue. How cool is that? Couple of amenities, body lotion, bath soap, and a vanity kit. 2 sinks here and a good amount of vanity space. Cute little washboard theming, plus your hand towels, washcloths, extra toilet paper, and your hair dryer down there. Then over here is your closet. I say that with some air quotes because it's not really a closet. It's sort of just an open hutch. It's got my sweater and some stuff that we need to do for affiliates for our website, some products we recommend, which if you're ever looking for the things you should buy for Disney World, we have plenty of recommendations on our website, AllEars.net. You have extra pillow and blanket if you need it. Plenty of hangers, a ton of hangers, honestly, for a hotel. Iron and ironing board. Of course, your built-in in-room safe that is programmable, and a trash can. Then, in a separate lockable room, you'll find your full-length mirror where you can see me do this. I guess this isn't technically in that room, but here's your commode room. Ever important. You got your toilet. You've got your towels. Note about conserving water and towel use. And then here's our shower and bathtub behind this ray curtain. We have shower head, pretty wide, nice. I think these are newer shower heads from the 2015 refurbishment of these rooms. Soap dishes on the side here. Full-size tub, plenty sizable. There's a huge ledge on the side, which I love in case you buy your own toiletries. And then you've got Sea Marine shampoo, conditioner, and sea salt body wash in refillable pumps on the wall. Plus, there's a clothesline if you need to dry a swimsuit or anything like that. And that's the room. Not the biggest, but not the smallest. And a nice mix of amenities here, which I think might lend itself to why this resort is so popular. But of course, no room tour is complete until we do bed science. Care to join me?
Yes.
Okay. Ready? Thoughts?
It's so comfy.
It is comfy. 4 pillows on each bed. Pillow quality, by the way. Super cushy. Disney pillows.
Look at your head.
Head sinkage. Disney pillows are very cushy. You sink your head in a lot. I love this as a soft pillow person.
Same.
But Emma is a firm pillow person, and she doesn't like these as much. When I sleep on an air mattress that has a little hole in it, and over the night it starts to deflate, if I'm in that air mattress by myself, I love that. Because by the end of the night, you are like cradled in a U-shaped pod.
The cruise line.
The cruise line beds are so... No, I love it. The cruise line beds... My favorite beds, these are my top 3 beds.
Okay.
They didn't ask, but welcome to our conversation.
Yes.
Number 1, I'm going to say tied for number 1 and number 2, Disney Cruise Line beds. Oh. And the Westin Heavenly Bed, TM. Okay. Which they have at Swan Dolphin, because it's a Westin-owned hotel. But anyway, those are the good beds. But regular Disney beds are still really good. I like them a lot. And that's the room. So I now you have to hear a little bit about how much all this costs before you get to see all the things this hotel has to offer. And it's not the rooms that make it super popular. Although people do like the rooms, it's the rest of the hotel. So you're going to want to see why everyone loves this hotel. But you have to go to Buzzkill Quincy first. I'm sorry, she has to share the price.
Hello from Hollywood Studios. Sorry to interject, but I do have to be a buzzkill here and tell you the price of staying at this hotel. Your price for staying at Port Orleans Riverside as of 2026 is going to be between $314 and $570 per night, which is pricey. Disney premiums are no joke, but it is more reasonable than a lot of options at Disney. That price depends on the room type you're booking and more depends on the dates that you're going. There are cheaper times of year and more expensive times of year. All in all though, middle of the road as Disney resorts go. Sorry to be a buzzkill and tell you what you have to pay for to experience this resort. I don't like it either.
Now, Port Orleans Riverside is known as value for money because it is a moderate Disney World resort. It is located in the Disney Springs area and has been open since 1992 with a theme after the romanticized rural American South inspired by the Louisiana Bayou and antebellum style mansions. Folks like staying here because it has beautiful riverfront grounds that are sprawling and fun to wander. There's boat transportation directly to and from Disney Springs. You can find horse-drawn carriage rides and two really distinct sections between Magnolia Bend and Alligator Bayou. Room categories you might spot include standard rooms, preferred rooms, royal guest rooms, and fifth sleeper rooms. And this is a 4-star hotel. So official check-in and when your room is guaranteed to be ready is 3 p.m. If you get here earlier than that, your room might be ready. And you can use mobile check-in to skip the lines in the lobby. But pro tip that I will tell you because we're friends and I want you to know and not other people, if you do go physically check in the lobby, there is a higher chance that they might be able to put you in a room that is available right then. Not guaranteed, but usually like actually physically going and standing in the lobby, they might try to get you set up so that you can go straight to a room. Not always gonna happen, but they will try. Now you're back with me in the lobby. You of course have your front desks, guest services, registration, everything you need, all over there. It's a really big room. If you check in around check-in time, which is around 3 p.m., that is when you will see crowds and maybe some lines. But if you come a little earlier, a little later, then you will be good to go. Probably should not see as many crowds and lines. Now, if you are early and your room isn't ready, then you can stop by Bell Services, which is just outside here. Under this covered awning, and you can drop off your bags here. They'll be happy to store them until your room is ready. Or if you happen to be heading to the parks on your day out, when you already have to check out but you're heading to the parks, then they will store your baggage until you're ready to come pick it up and head to the airport or drive home, whatever you're doing. Now let's check out some of the other amenities around the lobby building, heading into Fulton's General Store. This is, not a joke, my favorite hotel store in Disney World. Fulton's General Store is basic Disney hotel store. Has a lot of the same merchandise you'll find around the parks or Disney Springs and the other hotels. But it also has what's very special to me. Sorry, this is silly. Are these little like displays of Disney characters getting into antics, specifically Huey, Dewey, and Louie climbing on some boxes, and this one of Goofy with Mickey's nephews. These are so old school Disney World and Disney Store to me. This used to be what all the stores had, this kind of vibe when I was a kid in the early 2000s and in the 90s, like when this hotel opened. And it is so charming to me. Disney announced that the refurbishments to this hotel were going to be to the Magnolia Bend section of the hotel and will be wrapped up in 2026. Now, it no longer specifies that it's just the Magnolia Bend section, and the end date is August 2027. Now, what that probably means is that the hard goods refurbishment, which means they've swapped out the furniture, just kind of really updated the rooms over in Magnolia Bend, is likely also going to happen over in Alligator Bayou. Now, some of the new Magnolia Bend rooms are open. We know what they look like. Something to note here is they have reduced the number of royal rooms, and those princess-themed rooms, the royal rooms, are also getting an update, but we don't know what that's going to look like yet. We don't know if they're going to tone down the theming or what. We will certainly keep you updated. Maybe do a tour when they open if you all are interested. And then Alligator Bayou, they haven't even technically said they're refurbishing. We kind of think they are. One wonder that I have is, will the rooms look the same as the Magnolia Bend rooms? Because the new Magnolia Bend rooms kind of look like they could work on both sides of the resort, despite the fact they've traditionally been distinctly very different. But because the new announcement extends the refurbishment for so much longer, it's also possible there might be a restaurant update or a lounge update or an entertainment update. We never know. So lots of fun potentially to come. Just a bit down the road, all the way in 2027, is probably when We might start to hear more about it in 2026, but it's all the way down the road in 2027 that it will happen. So if you're staying in Port Orleans in the meantime, I want to make sure you know what to expect from a construction standpoint, from a room standpoint, because it's kind of a toss-up of if you're in an old room, a new room, or what. I really hope they don't take away my soot-faced Goofy in the merchandise shop. I love him. Now I am looking for some specialty items. Here's the thing. Disney World stores mostly the same, with a few differences. Things that they will all have. Lots of Disney merchandise. Certainly a little bit of a grocery section. Might be larger in some hotels than in others, but there is a little grocery section. Now these snacks and drinks and things will be overpriced. So I do recommend bringing your own or doing a grocery order if you can. And then my favorite spot, the essentials wall, for when you've inevitably forgotten sunscreen and need aloe, or you need more sunscreen, or you need Pepto-Bismol. You know, they got everything you might need on the essentials wall. Always good to know where it is. You never know when you might have an emergency. But uniquely to Port Orleans, Bridgewater has this as well, but we have a couple little New Orleans vibe things. There's gumbo, beignet mix, praline mix, Café du Monde coffee. So you can get some New Orleans style souvenirs here. And then I believe there's some Port Orleans specific merchandise usually. I'm just not seeing it as easily. Is this? Yes, okay. There's this cute little Christmas ornament. It's Port Orleans Riverside hoodie. You've got a beignet all day mug. Some of this stuff is more generic Port Orleans, but some of it is Port Orleans Riverside specific. This mug, this would be so hard to clean these corners out. You would never know what's in there. That's cute though. I like the fish in the day away. There's actually a lot of Port Orleans merchandise because a lot of folks are major fans of Port Orleans. So if that's you, you can grab some stuff here. That said, we're not spending the day wandering around a very good, very fun merchandise store. I do like this one so much. There's a lot more to see. Just next door to the shop is the River Roost Spirits and Victuals. River Roost is a lounge. It's typically only open in the evening, and it is a spot where you can get some delicious cocktails, some small bites. But the real star of this lounge is that it is so often the home of entertainment. At the stage in the back here, this is where Yeehaw Bob tends to play. We'll check out what his current schedule is, but it's been the same for years, so I hope it's the same right now. But Yeehaw Bob plays on this piano, and it is a rollicking good time. I'm serious, this piano is rocking back and forth. He gets around the room, he gets everybody involved, and he's extremely popular. So on nights that Yeehaw Bob is playing, this place will fill up. Not a table in sight. People standing in the doorways, standing in the archways, everywhere. Yeehaw Bob is the man. So if you want to see Yeehaw Bob, arrive early, get a table, get some drinks, maybe about 30 minutes to an hour in advance of him playing to make sure that you're comfortable, or just do what I do, swing by, stand in the doorway and listen for a few minutes. Also can be a good option too. My name's on this board.
To succeed, need to rock it to a C. Then add the strength they need. Do or die, you gotta try. It's the time of your life. Living, sing with me, everybody. It's the time of your life. Living right.
All right, here we go. Their Southern Hurricane will blow you away. They're open 5 to 10, and Yeehaw Bob plays Wednesday to Saturday, 8:30 p.m. to 12 a.m. There he is. He wears a silly little yellow hat. What's not to like about that? Let's head down this hallway and see a couple more of the more standard food and drink options. Let's talk meals rather than entertainment. So there is a table service restaurant at Port Orleans Riverside. It is called Boatwright's Dining Hall, and it is not open super often. They serve dinner 5 p.m. and later. And I'll be honest, I think it's a little bit underrated. I've heard it's not super consistent, but I had a really, honestly, very nice meal here, and it's easy to just walk in and get a table or get a reservation same day, which is not something you can say for a lot of Disney restaurants. It is a pleasant environment where it looks like you are eating in like a boatswain's shop. Great staff and great Southern and Cajun style food. We do have a full review of Boatwright's on the channel if you would like to give that a gander, but here's a little montage so you can get an idea of it. But if you're not seeing Yeehaw Bob, you're not sitting down for a full table service meal, odds are at Port Orleans you are swinging by the food court. This is Riverside Mill Food Court. It serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner with Southern-inspired dishes, bakery, pizza, and grab-and-go. It's a lot like a classic Disney food court with a couple of just twists and more fun options to match the Port Orleans theme. As you can see, it is themed to a working mill, which is just like a really cool feature. Huge space with tons of tables. I have never in my life not found a seat in here. And I actually really like the vibe, mostly because of the nice, smooth southern jazz they play. I'm looking out the window at the big water wheel. They do also play cartoons in the corner, and there's a table with little chairs for kids. I would go over there and show you, but there's kiddos enjoying them right now. Let's check out some of the options in the food court. Now, like I said, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But standout options are included here as well. So the food court is sort of sectioned. You can mobile order. Don't mobile order at your hotel food court. You have to go pick it up anyway. Just go and order there. They do not put every option that is available at the hotel food courts on mobile order, and there might be something you would have wanted more. So instead, just go and take a gander. And then, the second or third time you go, you might know that the thing you want is on mobile order, but the first time, make sure you go look around. For some reason, I'm starting on the dessert side, and that is just who I am. The bakery has things like seasonal cheesecake and Mickey cupcakes and lots of little grab-and-go sweets that they make here. They're super great to just kind of have in your room. You can get Mickey bars and Mickey ice cream sandwiches out of the case. Don't forget that. Pick yourself up a nice hot cinnamon roll. What is that? That looks like maybe an apple something. They have ice cream they can scoop for you. The next window has a bit more of a focus on burgers, chicken sandwiches, that kind of thing. Chicken tenders, a lot of the classics. Then we move on to a window in the corner here that's a pasta vibe. And they do have something you won't find at like a value food cart, that's for sure. Shrimp and grits to fit a little bit more with the Port Orleans theme. Your food court will have grab and go if you're on the go headed to the park in the morning or just want something to eat in the room real quick. Pizza, always a safe option if you're exhausted after a Magic Kingdom day. And then my personal favorite section to go in the food court, which is the create your own entree. I don't know how to tell you this, but Disney World food court is doing something insane with their mashed potatoes and green beans. This citrus basil salmon, mashed potatoes and green beans, you can get it at every Disney World food court. Incredible. But what I most often get here is either jambalaya or gumbo, both of which I'm a big fan of any jambalaya or gumbo. Now, is the jambalaya and gumbo here the best I've ever had? No. Is it passable? Maybe to someone who's never had gumbo before, but it's still pretty tasty, even though it's not exactly the most accurate gumbo in the world. So I do recommend it. And I did test out the breakfast here, getting what I would say is a pretty surprisingly good option. Hi, Quincy from the past here. It's breakfast in the past, so I'm having some stuff from Port Orleans Riverside Mill Food Court. Miranda just went and picked it up for us, and looks pretty darn good. I got the avocado tacho bowl. It's got it's kind of a bad name for it because it's more of like a Southwest style bowl. So it's got like avocado, there's beans, there's queso fresco, scrambled eggs, tater tots, and got some hot sauce too. And of course a large coffee. Miranda, what'd you get?
I got the waffle platter and a Coke. It comes with a Mickey waffle. You can choose from a couple different sides. So I chose bacon and potato barrels and also some scrambled eggs.
I've had the regular breakfast tacho bowl here before, which is same vibe, still eggs, still tachos, but there's bacon and sausage gravy, so more basic. This is really good. There's tons of avocado, which like starting your day with a healthy fat like avocado is great before a theme park. Does help fuel you. And beans for protein and egg, of course. I kind of think this is a great breakfast, but it still feels fun because tater tots. Like it doesn't feel like it's like I'm choosing a healthy breakfast. It feels like I chose a fun breakfast, but I am actually gonna have like benefit energy wise out of this, which is awesome. Flavor wise, it's got the tiniest little whisper of heat on the back of my mouth. The thing that is really stepping this up for me is there's pico and there's fresh onion in the pico that is adding like a super great crisp and a super great just like, oniony burn that's really nice. The eggs, I would not like these on their own. They are batch cafeteria eggs. However, in this bowl, they work great. And the avocado is surprisingly fresh. Like it's really hard to get a fresh avocado. It's always either under or overripe. They're fresh for like 36 seconds about. So like I'm shocked that this is fresh. And then the tater tots are all super crispy and holding up under all the toppings. So this is a real winner for me.
Okay, for the waffle platter, you got your standard Mickey waffle. I kind of am a little disappointed that it only comes with one, but it is what it is. Same as Quincy's eggs. These are just that batch scrambled eggs. They're made with like an oil instead of a butter. So I wouldn't expect any kind of like extra flavor to them. They just are kind of like minimally fluffy egg. I also have potato barrels, rolls, tater tots, whatever you want to call them. Crispy, very soft on the outside, or crispy on the outside, very soft on the inside. I got 2 strips of bacon with it. It's crunchy, but also still keeps that flexible, chewy flavor to it as well in consistency. So all around, a great pick too.
Oh my gosh, giant checkers. I don't have anybody to play with. All right, so that is kind of the gist here in the lobby building. This is where you'll find your dining. It's where you'll find your check-in, any purchasing you need to do. Lobby building is where to go. And this is located in the center of the resort. Let's take a look at a map. This is a very large resort, so I want you to get an idea of what we're dealing with here before we start walking around it. Look at that heron. I love herons. He's looking at the boat like he would like to go to Disney Springs. Port Orleans Riverside. This map is actually both of the Port Orleanses. Remember, it's walkable, drivable. This is where it splits. So up here, surrounded in this circle, is Port Orleans Riverside. We are here, okay? We just went all through this building. We're now standing right here on the marina. Big hotel. So over here is Magnolia Bend, these buildings. And then over here, you can see the buildings are different. They're little clusters. This is Alligator Bayou. Now, prior to refurbishment, fancy sort of mansion rooms, more rustic sort of southern rooms. And we are staying over here this time. Then in the center, accessible to all, is the island. The island's very fun. We'll be talking a lot about the island. Much to do there. Little hint, pool, fishing hole. What more can you possibly want? But that is not the only pool. Each little section does have its own pool. I'll show you what those look like, but you can see them sort of littered neatly in the middle of every section of the hotel. So there are quiet pools all around too. Now, if you want to go over to Riverside, which remember, you can find more dining, you can find beignets, you can find a different vibe. It's honestly just worth it to just walk over there at some point just to see it. All you do is follow this path, and there's signs along the way that will show you to get over to Riverside and explore that place. You can also drive over, whatever you like. The marina is not just about getting to Disney Springs, although that is a very fun feature. It is not a quick boat ride. It takes about 15 minutes to get all the way to Disney Springs from here, but it is beautiful. It is through very natural Florida, sort of like back riverways. Very gorgeous. There's other fun to be had at the Riverside Levee, which is the marina. You can do surrey bikes. I will warn you, there are a lot of hills around Port Orleans Riverside, and these are hard to pedal, even with every seat filled and everybody ostensibly pedaling. You can also do regular bike rentals, which is honestly something I really enjoy doing when I'm at Disney World at some of these resorts with the more sprawling pathways. And then you can learn a little bit about other rentals here with an actual fireworks cruise, guided bass fishing excursions. I've done one of those over at Fort Wilderness and it was a blast, as well as cane pole fishing, which is something that I have always wanted to do here. There is an arcade. I love an arcade. I can't remember how big this one is. I feel like it's gotta be big. This is a big hotel. I'm seeing very big screens. No food or drink in the arcade. That's reasonable, I guess. Oh yeah, big arcade. Wicked tuna. We can fish. This is what I love about Disney World Arcade, is I love to play Guitar Hero. I have an arcade card in my wallet from when Sage and I last played Guitar Hero. This is a huge arcade. And honestly, great place to send your kids. If they are bored and it's too cold for the pool, send them in here with, $10. Let them go crazy. Should I try to set the Pac-Man high score on this machine? A lot of people don't know about me that I am actually extremely good at Pac-Man. I think I've recently mentioned this in a video though, so maybe some more people know it, but I can place on the high score screen top 10 in the first try in almost any arcade. And I usually can get within like second or third place in 1 or 2 tries. So, I've never actually stood and tried to go, all the way to 1, but I think that would be funny if I was the Pac-Man machine high scorer at Port Orleans Riverside. And then you guys could all come and it would say AllEars Quincy next to the Pac-Man high score and you could try to beat it. All right, now I am most excited to show you guys the pool. But before we do that, we're gonna talk a little bit about the sections of the resort. Now, if you do horse-drawn carriage rides, by the way, those kind of go all through these pathways. It is just such a beautiful resort. I think that's the thing about Port Orleans is the reason it's so beloved is not because it's super flashy, but because it is actually relaxing. It feels like an escape. It is a huge sprawling resort with pathways to walk and things to do and beautiful landscaping. A similar resort actually is Caribbean Beach, with similar downsides where, you know, it's a large resort. It's kind of in the middle when it comes to offerings, and its transportation is not always the best. So Caribbean Beach does have the Skyliner, but at the same time, it's so beautiful that folks actually do want to keep coming back because it makes for a great resort day. There's a man on that roof. Okay, good. What a good transition for me to talk about construction. See that man on that roof? Men? There's multiple. There's construction happening at this hotel. Now, because Port Orleans is so large, it might not be that disruptive to you. Now, here's what I'll say. Magnolia Bend has been under construction for a while. Believe it's been working this way, and it's wrapping up over here. I'd venture to guess Magnolia Bend is not really going to be touched after spring. Like, it's going to be mostly done. So if you're booking a room after spring 2026, even though there's warnings about construction at Port Orleans, they won't necessarily be near your room, and you'll probably have a brand new refurbished room over here in Magnolia Bend. So that is something to keep in mind. As of earlier in 2026, there's like no construction happening in Alligator Bend, but the theory is that is where they will continue their refurbishments after Magnolia Bend is done. So once we get into summer and fall, you might be a little more likely to book near construction if you are in an Alligator Bend room. As you can see, this resort is huge. That's the islands we were talking about, and I'm walking in Magnolia Bend, and you can't even see Alligator Bayou from here. I absolutely love a stroll around this resort, but it is quite sprawling. If you are in a room that is far from the lobby, it can be a 10-minute walk. The good news is the island does serve as a bit of a shortcut to the lobby, but it can be quite a haul to get to and from, like food and things like that. The both good and bad news is that there are internal bus stops all through Port Orleans Riverside. So at each section, you can expect a couple of amenities that will not be far. A pool, as well as a bus stop located just outside the back and the parking lot of your hotel room. There will also be parking directly close to your room on the back side of all these buildings. Now, the way the bus works at Port Orleans has some pros and some cons that you'll want to consider before you book here. Anytime a resort is bigger than one building, there's a 22% chance I'm going to get lost despite having been there 88 times. And I would never get you lost, but for some reason I get lost. It's important though that I screw up so that you don't. I also think with Port Orleans, the landscaping is so, oh my gosh, that sounds like the biggest critter in the world. I think it's just a really big squirrel. It's two squirrels, and one of them was really big and they're chasing each other. But because it was two squirrels, haha, sign. Because it was two squirrels, I thought it was one big creature. And I was just about to tell you about how Florida's natural wildlife really shines at Port Orleans. And I think it's really easy to forget that Florida is an extremely beautiful state. I'm guilty of it. I haven't always lived here. I'm not native Floridian. And it's easy to think, oh, Florida is Disney World and I-4. I get it. But it's not. It is an incredibly beautiful state with incredibly beautiful natural wildlife and flora, fauna, all of it. So Port Orleans is a beautiful resort because it is all those natural areas incredibly manicured and created by the horticulture teams here in Disney World who are extremely talented. And that is the bus stop. I have found my way to East Depot, which is one of the internal bus stops at Port Orleans. The main bus stop is up at the front lobby, but there are bus stops all through the resort where you can get on a bus to anywhere. You can go to Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom. You can go to Disney Springs. You can go to Typhoon Lagoon. You can go to, not Blizzard Beach right now, but maybe when you're here, Blizzard Beach. They're both opening this summer, both water parks. And it gives you the time that they will next arrive, which is usually accurate within a couple of minutes. And if anything, I typically find that they are early. Now, what's great is you get to wait at the bus stop that's super close to your room, get on your bus to go to Magic Kingdom, and then you don't have to walk all the way to the lobby. The Magic Kingdom bus picks you up right here. The catch with this is that you do have to stop at all of the bus stops between you and where you're trying to get or coming from and your room. So at the end of your park day, if you're at the very end of the stops, you might have to wait through all these other bus stops, which will add a bunch of extra little time when you're exhausted and just want to get back to your room. Or if you're trying to head out and catch that rope drop, you might have to wait through all these extra little stops before the bus takes off and heads to Magic Kingdom or whatever park you're going to. Now, with all these internal bus stops, the final stop is going to be the lobby. So what's great is it makes it really easy for you to just hop on any bus to end up at the lobby. And then you might see that they are running a resort only loop that just loops around the resort. This can vary, but keep your eyes peeled. When in doubt, just ask the bus driver. They'll probably ask you, honestly. But when you're getting on a bus, just ask, hey, are you gonna stop at the lobby? If the answer is yes, you're good. And if not, they'll be able to tell you what bus is the best for you to take coming up soon. The only way you can mess up is if you forget to get off your stop, or what your stop is called. Because the bus driver might say, hey, where are you getting off? And you'll say East Depot. And then they'll remember to holler at you that you're at East Depot. But sometimes they won't ask. You won't say. You won't know. You're tired. And then you ride the bus in a loop around all the internal bus stops and then find yourself on your way back to Magic Kingdom. Have I done that? No. It was Epcot. Now, as you can see, external hallways for the rooms here. But there are elevators. Also, the walkways are covered. So if it is pouring rain, then you'll get a little reprieve by the time you make it to your building. But that's a downside of some of these bigger resorts is if you're trying to get to the lobby in pouring rain, you are basically gonna have to book it through the parking lot to get to that bus stop. And then hope that a bus comes soon to get you to the lobby. Finally, that is a joke, but it's also not a joke. There's real Florida wildlife around. You will notice signage saying beware of snakes and gators. There are gators in Disney World waterways. It is not they are not gonna be anywhere in any water you are swimming in, like a pool or anything like that. But you don't want to get too close to like these waterways, both because boats are going through, but also because real natural Florida wildlife is in there. If you are ever doing something like at Fort Wilderness canoeing, just know that it won't bother you if you don't bother it. You can see one of those private pool areas there. I'm not going to head over because the folks over there are probably trying to have a nice, quieter pool day. Instead, we're headed to the party pool. That's where I like to be anyway. We are crossing the bridge over into the island. There are bridges all around to help you get there. You can see right here the difference between the way the Magnolia Bend rooms look and the way the Alligator Bayou rooms look, which obviously we've seen because we were over there, but it's definitely a very different vibe. It will be interesting to see if during the refurbishment they do end up putting those two rooms vibes together. I'm gonna cruise this way. We're gonna glance at the Alligator Bayou layout from the island so you can get an idea of it, but you can go ahead and see a bit of what I love about this island. There's a hammock. That's not what I love about the island, but I love hammocks. Whole play area for little kids. And I want to point this out. This is a live oak. Beautiful sprawling live oak tree that was placed here on April 22nd, 1991, Earth Day. And it has a companion tree at the entrance of Port Orleans Resort Riverside. Whoa, they each weighed 85 tons. Super cool. And that was for Old Man Island, which is where we are. And the island was constructed around the oak. This is like the anchor, which is super cool. You got some kids that need to run off some energy. There is Old Man Island Playground, slightly themed with that thing that looks a little bit like a water wheel. And I'll tell you, that's where all the kids work. So I guess they're having fun. We got our first glance of the pool here. It is a smaller pool than you might expect for such a large resort. But when you remember that each area has its own pool, it makes a little bit more sense. This is the more lively pool. This is the one your kids are gonna want to go to because there's lots of water effects, splashes. There's this like big sort of aqueduct situation going on. There's typically music and recreation employees doing activities with the kiddos during the day. Super fun. And there's an awesome pool bar, which we will check out when we get over there. But first, I will show you the campfire on the bayou. Campfire on the bayou, this does happen nightly, weather permitting, where cast members will come and set up a campfire here. Typically, free marshmallows, not full s'mores, but free marshmallows. You can just come hang out and do a little bonfire. 6 to 7 right now. I think in the summer it's often a little bit later, maybe 7 to 8. One of my favorite hotel tips is to always check the recreation schedule. The recreation schedule can usually be found posted in the lobby or posted by the pool, and it will list all the recreation options for during your stay. Typically, those are pretty much the same from time to time. I've listed a bunch of them today. Bike rentals, the fishing hole, but then there's also the campfire, but then there's also things that vary a bit, like the movie Under the Stars. Though those do happen most days, obviously the movie changes, and you can find the movie schedule on that recreation guide. This is a fishing hole. I think it's maybe closed up for the weather. It's a bit cold while I'm filming, but you can do catch and release fishing right here. Oh no, it's just closed right now. Yeah, 7 a.m. to 1:45 p.m. Last pulls out at 1:15. It is $6.30 per hour. So a very cheap, wholesome, family-friendly, nature-forward activity with catch and release fishing there. Super cute. I just love that. I love these larger hotels that have a little bit more focus on like kind of old school activities and fun to be done around the resort. I am crossing this bridge to show you a bit of the vibe change over in Alligator Bayou since we stuck mostly to our building. It is laid out much the same as Magnolia Bend with the separate buildings and the winding pathways between. You can see a little bit more lush foliage through here. A little bit more natural looking, less manicured. Still very Florida. And then the buildings are more southern rustic. But you can see this side of the resort tends to be a little bit quieter, a little shadier. A little, not shadier like sketchy. Shady like there's a lot of shade. There's more shade. But it just tends to be a little bit more relaxed side of the resort. So a lot of folks do prefer Alligator Bayou for the rustic vibe and the sort of like tucked away feeling that it has, whereas Magnolia Bend feels very grand and open, which some folks prefer that as well. Obviously, in your booking in 2026, you're likely to have a room that looks a lot like mine. And after the refurbishment, we will see what those rooms look like, maybe just like the new Magnolia Bend rooms, but hard to say. But we'll certainly find out. Okay, I'm cruising back to Old Man Island. I want to get another view of that pool. I want to show you the lovely pool bar and just show you more of the vibes over on Old Man Island. This resort in general just has a lot to do, a lot of places to run and play for your kids if you've got older kiddos. It could just be a really fun environment for a resort day. Now, something to note about any Disney hotel is that even the moderates are not exactly moderately priced. They're still pretty expensive. There's a Disney premium compared to like standard hotels. If you are coming to Disney World and you're planning to spend open to close in the park, and the only reason you'll be in that room is for their head to hit the pillow, then you should probably stick to some of the cheaper options, stick to the values. Maybe the All-Stars could be a great option. Okay, back in the oasis of Old Man Island, the common name for an oasis usually has the word old man in it. Muddy River's pool bar, very cool pool bar. I honestly might be biased towards the theming of this resort because I love the South and I went to summer camp for many years, but I do just think it is so relaxing and so well done. Muddy River's pool bar vibe is some specialty drinks, some beer, wine, some non-alcoholic. It's going to be pool drinks. They don't have too many specialties. They do, of course, have a hurricane, a classic. And they have a souvenir hurricane cup here, which is cool. You can grab yourself a drink and hang out by the pool. Now, there aren't any food items at the pool bar, but luckily we are a pretty short walk to that food court. So you can grab yourself some chicken tenders too to have by the pool too. Send somebody out, grab the chicken tenders. Pool's quite nice. As you can see, a little bit bigger than it looked from that angle. Lots of water features. There's a slide, but it's not a big slide. So it's not the kind that your kid will be dreaming about for years, but kids are just kind of happy to be in a body of water at all times. So they should be fine in the pool. And there is a hot tub or whirlpool, whatever they're calling it these days, as well. Now, obviously, I'm taking you through everything there is to know about this resort, but that's really only one piece of the puzzle when it comes to figuring out where you're gonna stay in Disney World. Maybe you're leaning towards this one, but choosing the right hotel can be overwhelming. Maybe you're leaning towards another. Maybe you have like 6 options and you can't decide. I get it. The good news is our team is obviously here to help. You can watch my videos. You can also check out our free Insider's Guide to the Top 10 Resorts in Disney World, which you can find right now by scanning this QR code or heading to AllEars.net/hotels. It's free. And then you get like our guide to top 10 hotels. It's great, honestly. Here's that recreation guide I was talking about. I wanted to point out the one fun thing that we didn't do. It is marked which things are little upcharges. The mosaic class is something you can do here, which you get to make your own mosaic. It does cost money, but it's just cool that it's an option. But with that, you've seen everything at this Disney World hotel, so let's talk about the pros and cons, whether you should get booking or keep looking. Now, of course, with any Disney hotel, you do get those Disney World Resort hotel perks. You get early theme park entry, Disney-themed vibes around the rooms and the resorts, access to both Riverside and French Quarter amenities, beautiful walking paths and a quiet atmosphere, riverboat transportation to Disney Springs, and one of the best themed moderate resorts there is. Pros-wise, those royal rooms are popular if you've got a princess-loving kiddo. Great rooms to grab. Hopefully will stay just as great after their refurbishment. Good food options with some variety. You've got easy access over to French Quarter for Mickey beignets and more dining. This is one of the few resorts with a nice relaxing boat transportation option. And the rooms have 5th sleepers, which means this resort is one of the best options for families of 5. Cons. Larger resort, longer walks. My legs are tired.
We have been bebopping forever, it feels like, and I just walked around once. Multiple bus stops can add that travel time, so you need to be prepared for that. Moderate rooms won't have any deluxe perks. There's no balconies here, external hallways. It's still not going to feel as like fancy schmancy as some of the nicer hotels. You are limited to just bus transportation unless you're going to Disney Springs, so you're mostly sticking with the most basic version of Transpo. No Skyliner, no monorail. And then the pools are fun, but they're not as spectacular and jaw-dropping as you might find at a deluxe hotel. All in all though, I'm a fan of this hotel. I personally would book this one, is whether the value for money is there, which is getting harder and harder to find around Disney World. Here, I think the value for money is there most times of year. Remember to steer clear of construction. Magnolia Bend probably will have construction move out of that side around late spring, early summer, and it will shift over to Alligator Bayou around that time. And we're not really sure what's gonna happen into the early 2027, if it's gonna be anything more than the room refurbishments, but we will certainly keep you updated. And you know, when the resort has had its little makeover, its little facelift, I'll be back to give it a full tour. Thank you so much for watching. If you are still here, please like this video and drop this secret code in the comments so we know you made it all the way. Plus, don't forget to subscribe. We upload tours, tips, games, and more from Disney World and beyond all week because we are serious about fun. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!